Today, I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for this Week 5 NFL Draftkings main slate. Like I always do here with these videos, I'm going to kick it off with a couple of my favorite game stacks, and then I'm going to talk about some of my favorite individual plays and stacks. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Now, being that we have just 10 games on the main slate here this week, I really wasn't in love with a bunch of different games to stack up, but one game that I absolutely think we can stack up here this week is that game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, there's likely going to be some popular plays here in this game, but with that being said, there's a number of different routes that we can go as well to make our lineups unique. Now, my preferred route here is stacking up Mahomes with Kelsey and Rice, and then running it back with Hawkinson and Addison on the Vikings side of things. No, I don't love the idea of leaving out Justin Jefferson, and by all means, everyone, he's absolutely in play here for this game stack, but in terms of making our lineups unique, I think one way we can do that in tournaments is by putting in both of the tight ends in this game, and we're talking about two of the top 3 receiving tight ends in the NFL, so I really don't have any problem with that. Now, this game here does have the highest implied total on the main slate at 53 points, and I am 100% willing to stack this up on the other side as well. We could roll out a Kirk Cousins with a Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and then run it back with Isaiah Pacheco. I'd be lying to you guys if I haven't built a lineup like that already. Now, this Vikings defense here has definitely been better against the run than it has been the past this year. That's part of the reason I like stacking up Mahomes with 2 pass catchers. I think he should be able to pick apart that secondary, especially considering this defense blitzes at a 60% rate, or they at least have so far this year, and Mahomes has notoriously been good against the blitz. And then another game stack that I like targeting here this week is that game between the Rams and Eagles. Now, the big news here for the Los Angeles Rams this week is that Cooper Kupp is expected to be back here in Week 5. I don't suspect he will be limited, maybe a little bit, being that it is his first game back, but Sean McVay has made it very clear they aren't going to rush this guy back unless he's 100% healthy. Now, with that being said, my preferred stack here in this game is Matthew Stafford with Puka Nacua and Tyler Higbee, and then running it back with DeAndre Swift. Now, again, this is one of those game stacks where we can mix in a Cooper Kupp, a Tutu Atwell, Devontae Smith, or AJ Brown. I have no problem with that, but I like going with Puka Nacua here on the Rams side of things because his ownership is projected around 3.5% this week. Look, everyone, if Kupp wasn't playing here in Week 5, Puka would be around 15 to 20% ownership, so I'm going to take advantage of that. Sure, his targets are likely going to come down a little bit with Kupp back, but he's seen 52 so far this year through 4 weeks, and that's really hard to ignore in my opinion. And then I like going with Tyler Higbee as well because he's very affordable, and the Eagles have notoriously not been very good against the tight end position. And then I like running it back there with DeAndre Swift because the Rams have given up the 4th highest yards per carry to zone runs, and Swift just so happens to have run in zone 88% of the time this year, and he's the clear number 1 running back in this Eagles offense right now. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays and stacks here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. You guys don't know how much that helps me out. Every like, comment, and subscription, YouTube helps push that out to new viewers, and we're trying to get Slydog Sports here to 4,000 subs. The faster we can grow this brand, the more content we're going to be able to push out to you guys. So like and subscribe. Now let's dive into these individual plays and stacks. And another quarterback that I like targeting here for tournaments this week, and really the entire team in general, is going to be the Miami Dolphins and Tua. Now, we can obviously stack him up with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, or even someone like Devon Achane, who's made a name for himself here over the past couple of weeks. But don't sleep on Raheem Mostert either. This is a guy who fumbled twice last week in their loss against the Buffalo Bills. Probably looking for a bounce back here at home, and a really good matchup overall for this Miami team against the New York Giants. And the reason I'm highlighting the passing attack here for Miami is because this Giants defense ranks 27th overall in pass DVOA this year, and it just so happens that the Dolphins rank 1st overall in offensive pass DVOA, so this is a perfect matchup at home for them to bounce back after a loss last week. Tua here at $7,100, we need 28.4 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value. He's been able to do that in 2 of 4 games already this year, and the Dolphins have an implied total of 30 points here, and they're 12.5 point favorites at home, both leading the main slate. Now, moving on to the running backs here, I got three that I want to highlight outside of those Miami running backs that I just name dropped. Again, I think both of those guys are definitely in play. First one I want to talk about here is David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions, sitting at $6,600 on DraftKings this week in a good matchup at home against the Carolina Panthers. For starters, we would need 26.4 DraftKings points in order for Montgomery to hit 4x value. This is a guy who's averaging 24 touches per game, and if he gets that here in this matchup at home against Carolina, he could have himself a big day because Carolina ranks dead last in defensive rush DVOA this year. Plus, no Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions this week. They should emphasize their running game a little bit more, and I haven't gotten official word on Jahmyr Gibbs yet, but he was also questionable on Friday after popping up on the injury report. If he happens to miss as well, I like David Montgomery even more. Another running back I like here this week is Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, obviously, this Bengals offense has gotten off to a really slow start this year, largely due to Joe Burrow battling that calf injury, but I do like this matchup on the road for Mixon against the Arizona Cardinals. He's sitting at $6,400 on DraftKings this week, so we need 25.6 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value. I don't love that he's averaging just 17 touches per game, but I think we could see that go up here this week, considering this Cards defense ranks 27th overall in rush DVOA and have the second lowest stuff rate. This is really a good matchup for Mixon overall. And again, Cincinnati, in my opinion at least, should focus on the run because Joe Burrow is clearly not right now. And then I got Breece Hall there of the New York Jets, and I really like his price here at $5,200 on DraftKings, but even more so like the matchup on the road against the Denver Broncos, whose defense is just flat out abysmal. That's probably a polite way of putting it. They rank 31st overall in defensive rush DVOA this year, and for what it's worth, Dalvin Cook on this Jets offense just hasn't been very good. We all heard the rumor this week that Breece Hall will no longer be on a snap count, so this seems like a perfect matchup for him to kind of have one of those big games. At this price here at $5,200, we need 20.8 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value. Assuming he can get anywhere from 12 to 15 touches in this game, I definitely think he can get there. And then I got a few wide receivers that I want to highlight here as well. We're going to kick it off there with Tyreek Hill, and I've talked about Miami quite a bit already when I was highlighting Tua and how much I like their offense in general this week, but just want to briefly go over some of Hill's numbers so far this year. For starters, he is $9,000 on DraftKings. He is expensive, so we need 36 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value, but we're all very aware that he can get there, especially in a matchup like this against the New York Giants. Hill so far this year has seen a 25% target share, 51% of the team's air yards, and he's got a 4.75 yards per route run versus man coverage this year, and it just so happens that this Giants defense is running man about 44% of the time. Tyreek Hill should definitely be able to expose that. The next wide receiver I got then is Michael Pittman Jr. of the Indianapolis Colts, sitting at $6,400 on DraftKings this week in a really good matchup at home against the Tennessee Titans. At this price here, we need 25.6 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value. And I know people are going to look at this situation here and go, okay, well, Anthony Richardson, won't he vulture touchdowns rushing the ball? And he very well could, like we've seen him do this year. But what I like about this matchup in particular is how good the Tennessee Titans defense has been against the run, and that includes rushing quarterbacks as well. Not just this year, but they were very good against that in 2022 as well. And on the opposite side, their secondary and their passing defense just hasn't been very good. That doesn't include just this year as well. That includes all of 2022. And the numbers for Michael Pittman Jr. have been really good in this offense. He's got a 27% target share, 27% air yard share, 33% first read share, and I really like that. Plus, he's got 1.71 yards per route run this year. Not bad at all considering his quarterback does like to run the ball. So overall, yes, I understand the situation with Anthony Richardson, but I do like this matchup at home here for Michael Pittman against that Titans secondary. And then a wide receiver I like in the 4K range here is Tank Dell of the Houston Texans. I think a lot of people are going to look at him and go, he was a popular play last week and he burnt me. I don't want to go back to that. All the more reason for me to play him in my tournament lineup. At this price here, $4,800, we need 19.2 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 4x value. He's shown he's very capable of doing that already as a rookie. He's got an 18.5% target share, 28% air yard share, and a 21% first read share, so I really like those numbers considering the price. And he also ranks third overall in the entire NFL in yards per route run versus man coverage, and it just just so happens that this Atlanta defense runs man coverage at the 10th highest rate in the NFL. Now, I don't really have any other tight ends to highlight here for tournaments. I talked about 3 earlier during the game stack portion of this video, plus I highlighted a few here in my cash game video as well. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you go do so. But that's pretty much my player pool when it comes to tight ends this week. With that being said, let's wrap things up here with a couple of defenses I'll be targeting in tournaments here this week, starting with the New England Patriots playing at home against the New Orleans Saints. They're $3,100 on Draftkings here this week, and this Pats defense still has some playmakers on the back end. They currently rank 8th overall in total defensive DVOA, and from what I've seen out of this Saints offense, just really hasn't impressed me. They rank 22nd overall in total offensive DVOA, and they put up 16, 20, 17, and 9 points in their first 4 games. Nothing I'm really scared of. And then if I'm really looking to save some money here at the defensive position, I don't mind spending down again for the Carolina Panthers defense, coming off of a good performance against the Minnesota Vikings. They're very cheap here at $2,200 this week, and yes, they are heading on the road against Detroit, who's put up some numbers this year, but again, they're also going to be missing Amon-Ra St. Brown. This defense here has had 2+ sacks in every single game so far this year, and had an interception in each of their last 3 games, totaling 4, so they have been able to make plays on the back end, and again, considering how cheap they are, I certainly don't mind them. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 5 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.